Tractate Bava Batra, page 97. We are 9 lines from the top of the page. Since we're getting close to Shabbat, we are limited with time, so I basically read the daf and here and there comments and then several halachot involved here. First, I want to just elaborate on the very last subject because I get several phone calls, emails. Thank you. The Mishnah Berurah in Reish Ayin Bet Sha'ar Tziyun Siman Tet Zayin elaborates on the whole machloket here we mentioned between the Rashbam and Tosfot, the concept of Kedei Midato, what exactly involved. Since we talk about 3 and 3, for those who are not familiar, we talk about production of wine, and they use the term here, they call it temed, but it's I think the right word in English for temed is, let me see, P-O-M-A-C-E, Pamex or Pames. But anyway, the idea is that you combine you put 3 cups of water on the shmarim, on the very basic yeast, flour of the wine, and as a result we said that if you have 3.5, that's chumra midrabanan, that's rabbinic stringency. Tosfot said that it's a kiyua behalma, that it's basically, that is a sharp flour beverage, it's not even a wine, and that's basically, the Marsha explained that that's the concept of chumra drabanan. But with that said, today we're going to deal with the concept of wine and grape juice when it's come to kiddush. As you know, some people use grape juice, some people use wine. How about white wine? Is that lechatchila? It's not. But first stage we're going to deal with ma'asrot. As you know, we have 613 commandments. Some of them applies only when you have Beit HaMikdash, some of them only in Eretz Yisrael. So one of the concepts when it's come to ma'asrot, giving tithe, is different gradation, different levels. You bring the first one to the priest, to the Kohen, and then to Levi, etc. Certain years involved, we explained it many times. So one of the idea is damai, when you're dealing with people who are not educated, with ignorance, the sages instituted that we should take a tithe regardless, as long as it's from Amma Aretz. So we're going to deal with the consequence with that. But as far as the halachot is concerned, we're going to deal somehow, or relatively compared to our short time, with the halachot involved with Shabbat and Yom Tov when it's come to Kiddush, what exactly we should use and how. So first, let's relatively briefly we deal with temed. 9 lines from the top of page 97. תנו רבנן שמרים של תרומה, ראשון ושני אסור, שלישי מותר. רבי מאיר אומר, אף שלישי בנותן טעם. ושל מעשר ראשון אסור, שני מותר, רב מאיר אומר, אף שני בנותן טעם. ושל הקדש שלישי אסור, רביעי מותר, רב מאיר אומר, אף רביעי בנותן טעם. So here we're dealing with different pames. There's a truma wine, the first one. Then we talk about the second tithe, so that's chumrat benoten tam, and then if it's consecrated. So basically the halachot with all of that, you see a lot in the Rambam, in Ilchot Maaser Sheni, Ilchot Trumot, Ilchot Me'ilah. But the idea is that when forbidden food is mixed with permitted food, and the flavor of the forbidden food can no longer be detected, the mixture is permitted. That's called noten tam, and you see it in basar bechalav, isu veheter, and others. But here, a mixture of this kind may be given to a idolater cook to determine whether or not the flavor of these non-kosher ingredients is noticeable. So it's not possible. The mixture is presumed to be kosher. As we said, 1 to 60, at least 60 times as much permitted. But anyway, ורמיני של הקדש לעולם אסור, we learn in the Braita that temed that come of the hekdesh something that consecrated for the Beit HaMikdash, so it's always forbidden, even after having steeped them many times. V'shel maaser l'olam mutar, even the first Talmud. Kasha ekdesh ekdesh, kasha maaser maaser. So the Gemara said, ekdesh lo kasha, kan b'kedushat haguf, kan b'kedushat damin. You have to differentiate between the consecrated involved with the guf. So kedushat haguf, that it's consecrated for libation. The Rashbam said that the source is the barrel of wine, versus the others is kedushat de'emim. It's only to be sell and take the redemption, the money that redeem with that value, and to contribute to the Beit HaMikdash. So it's two different concepts. And he said, Maaser HaMaaser, Nama lo kasha kan maaser, Vadai kan maaser demai. You have to differentiate between something that's clear that it's maaser, that needs to tighten, versus damai, that it's not, we have a doubt if you need to tighten that, and therefore the Gemarrah in Sotah 48 said that Yochanan Kohen Gadol instituted that they should take it tight because you don't trust the Amei Aratzot. People are not educated to do the Maasrot. Amar Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yotzeda כדרך שאמרו לי לניסורן כך אמרו לי נא הכשרן. הכשרן דמאי דמאכשור מאכשרי דחמאכשור מאכשרי לא צריכה שדמדו במי גשמים. That he produced the Talmud with the raining water. So rainwater does not render food susceptible to tum'ah. So the Talmud will do so only with regard to the wine. כיוון דקשקיל ברמלו למענה, אך שווינהו. So לא צריך שנתמד מאליו. It's a Talmud by itself. So it's steep the water, it happened to fall upon it. וכיוון דקנגיד כמה כמה חשבינו, אמר רב פאפא בפרש ששותה ראשון ראשון. Tell to a cow that drank lost the Talmud one by one. So drip the cows and the mouth into the food. Amar Rab Zutra bar Tovia. Here we go to the sugya that we're dealing with wine. What's the proper wine to make a kiddush? So Amar Rab Zutra bar Tovia, אין אומרים קידוש היום אלא על היין, הראוי לנסח על גבי המזבח. Here he make a rules that you can make the kiddush, you sanctified, recite the sanctification of the Shabbat day, only of wine that is a quality that fits to use it libation in those days on the altar. So למהות מאי, אילם למהות יין מגיתו, ותנא רבי חייא יין מגיתו לא יביא. So wine from fresh is pressed, so said you should not bring it. ואם מביא כשר בדיעבד, if you bring it, so it's fine. וכיוון דאם מביא כשר, ענן אפילו לכתחילה נמי. So for sure, we can also use it for the sanctification of Shabbat day and even lechatchila. So obviously the Rashbam said that the Kiddush Hayom is not the same as Nisuach al Gabei HaMizbeach, not the same as libation on the altar. So therefore, Yain Migito, it's good for libation, but the Avad, but the Kiddush is even lechatchila. Now it's important, page 97b, ואומר רבא, סוחט אדם אשכול של ענבים ואומר עליו קידוש היום. Rava said that the person should take, hypothetically speaking, we talk about squeeze a juice from a cluster of grapes and make the kiddush. But if you remember, we learned in Pesachim, page 106, זכור יום אשר בא לקדשו. So the Gemarrah said, זוכרו על היין בכניסתו. You should remember the Shabbat by making kiddush on wine when it started. So the Shach, the Siftei Kohen in Bereshit, he said that you meant to say Zochreu, to remember, so it's something that potentially will be forgotten. So what does that mean? So they said that the fruits that the first man ate, Adam HaRishon, was made out of geffen, it's a cluster. So therefore, the scene of the first man happened close to the time of Shabbat. It's a famous rabbinic writing. So they forgotten the commandment of God not to eat from the tree of knowledge. So therefore, we use something that's forgotten from the same species, which is the wine. B'Shulchan Aruch in Orach Chaim Reish Ayin Bet 272 said, Yain Megito wine from the press, a cluster, מקדשים עליו, persons can sanctify it, וסוחט, and he shall squeeze, אשכול של נביאים, ואומר עליו קידוש היום. So Magen Avraham said over there, מצווה ביין ישן, that is a special mitzvah to do it with old wine. So the Magen Avraham said, אם יש לו תירוש חדש, if you have new one, so יקדש על היין, he make the first kiddush on the wine, ושיגיע לשחיינו, when he reached the ברכה of שחיינו, ייטול התירוש בידו. So that's the mitzvah מן המובחר, but Darchei Moshe and others, you see that they say that the second day of Rosh Hashanah, when we have the minhag to do shechiyanu for the new fruit, so he should make a kiddush on the old wine, and when he get to Birkat Hazman, so then he should look at the tirosh and that was in the table, and he should make the bracha, but he didn't explain why the tirosh, why make an old wine. So the Magen Avraham did not explain it. It's like why old wine is more important than tirosh. So, but here if you see from our Gemarrah, which means here you see that Yotzei Yedei Chovah, the one fulfill his obligation to do kiddush, even lechatchila b'yayin megito, which means wine that is not passed when you see 40 days. So there is a kovetz Beit Aaron v'Yisrael that they bring Rabbi Yechiel a gold haber. So he said many poskim that hold that the halacha that should be done that way. So if you talk about our grape juice in our days, sochet adam eshkol shel anavim, that's what we said here, a person may squeeze the juice from a cluster of grapes. So that's kasher lechatchila b'kiddush, but not everyone agreed. The great Moshe Sternbuch was one the great rabbis in South Africa. David knows him, but also I remember him in Har Nof in the years that I lived there in Yerushalayim. So he in Orach Chaim, Chelek Dalet, Siman Tzadik Tet, he wrote that there is a minhag to do kiddush in Shabbat and Moadim on grape juice because it's easy to drink it. So he said that he bring the Gemarrah in Sanhedrin page 70 that hold that yain migito eno mesameach, that this type of wine is not under the category that to make so therefore he brings the halacha that the erev Tisha B'Av suda mafseket, you can do it, but it's a chashivut bracha b'pnei atzma, it's an independent blessing because the wine have a special chashivut. So he bring Rabbeinu Yoina and brachot 35. So anyway, so the question is, how come we said it here the Gemarrah in Bava Batra Tzadik Zayin, the Mudbeda, the Gemarrah said that Sochid Adam Eshkol Shel Anavim, a person can squeeze a cluster of grapes and make a bracha. So, you said the bracha even is not Soid V'Sameach, if it's not, is in a Saudia and in the great state of happiness. So therefore, the question is how exactly you hold the whole process of Tzisa. I think the right word is the pasteurization process, but anyway, what does that mean? Is he tried to go to a big malach that there is two type of grape juice, the grape juice that is in the market, that right away you cook it, and then you total have a process of fermentation, you have certain materials, certain ingredients that keep it for such a long time, and there is others. He have a big malach over that, how far you go with the concept of grape juice and when can you use it and how you use it. So as we said, he brings Shute Rashba in Chelek Zayin Tafkuf Kaftet, he brings many meforshim. But anyway, if you want to read more on that, one of the great sources, I mean there are many, but one of them is my brother-in-law, Rav David Avram Mandelbaum. He wrote endless books. So one of them I mentioned many times is a book called Daf al Daf, Klein Publications, that so he elaborates a lot of all the meforshim. I just gave you the vignette for my brother-in-law. Anyway, back here. So we said ve'ela alema'ute mipia umi sholea v'atane Rab Chia mipia umi sholea lo yaviv imevi kasher ve'alemute yain kushi meaning that very dark wine borek heliston shel martef shel tzimukim v'atane b'cholan lo yaviv imevi kasher ve'alemute yain koses, as you explained, exclude the soaring wine, mazug, a diluted wine, megule, the wine that was left uncovered, ושל שמרים, the one that have a pomens, ושל רחורה, that have a very bad odor. נתניה בכולם להביא מביא פסול. She said that all of them should not bring, and if he brought libation, it's not disqualified. So the Gemara said, what type of wine it's excluded? As we mentioned on page 96. So he said, if we talk about to exclude diluted, so diluting is a wine is an improvement of it. The Omar Rabbi Yossi Bar Chanina, Rabbi Eliezer, b'chos shel bracha, they said that when you make a kos shel bracha, the blessing, ברכת המזון, obviously, the grace after meal, שהם מברכים עליו עד שיתן לתוכו מים. So in those days, we explained many times that they have to dilute it. So he said that you don't recite the blessing until you add water to make it more acceptable. So some hold that is a chovah, that is obligatory. You see it in the Rashbam, according to Rashi, you see Tosfot, other Rishonim. But nowadays, most of the Forshim said that the wine is not so strong as it used to. You don't need to have a process of dilution as used to, so you don't need it. That's the Gemara in Orach Chaim Kuf Pei Gimel 183. So they said, if we talk about uncover, it's dangerous. Because maybe in those days a snake can put some venom there. If you talk about wine that made out of pomens, if you put 3 and it comes 4 jug, so it's a full-fledged wine. If it's a 3.5, as we explained yesterday, that's the disputation between the Rabbanan and others, and we say halacha according to Chachomim. But the Rashbam explained that temed in that level is not considering it a wine. You don't even say for that you have to say that this exclude wine, that they have a very full few odor. So it's so if it's a bad odor, so in one hand you have the taste and the smell of wine, but it's as far as the bracha, you can make the bracha. Uncover. Even in a way that you pass it through the sieve, that he said that you can remove the venom or whatever it is from the wine by using a sieve. You bring a pasuk from the Malachi, present it now unto your governor, and he will be pleased with you and will accept upon the person. That's the way God said, which means you don't bring something in inferior appearance before the human kings. So the same manner in that, if you can compare it in anthropomorphic, in a human language, to God, to make a bracha and to do kiddush. How about use a white wine for libation, for sanctification of Shabbat day? Bring the pasuk in Mishlei, Proverbs 23. Do not look upon wine when it's red. That means red wine is considered to be superior. But now the Rashbam disagree with the other pshatim, because the whole idea is the Rashbam said that the white wine is kosher lekiddush. You can make a kiddush with white wine. Kankanim b'Sharon said when purchasing a jug of wine in the Sharon region, he accepts upon himself that up to 10 inferior quality jugs may be present each 100 jugs purchased. So we explained many times that is a 10 for 100. That's part of the acceptable way of. So they said here, Tana pitasot naot umeguparot. So they said here that 10 inferior quality jug, they are beautiful and sealed with the pitch to strengthen them. But if it's a broken barrels and really weak quality, low quality, so it's not acceptable. Obviously, the many Meforshim say that in a place where there is no custom, one will purchase jugs of wine, except that there are maybe up to 10 jugs of inferior quality out of every 100, provided that the jugs are beautiful and sealed with peach. That's the Rambam Ilchot Mechira, chapter 18. But as we said in conclusion, as far as the wine, you can have any wine in Kiddush. We prefer, if there's any anti-Jewish sentiment, as it unfortunately was in the past, to use a red one. Otherwise, white is also kosher for Kiddush. But grape juice, as we said, it depends. In general, you can use it. Obviously, it should be more grapes in that sense, but there are different echsherim and different levels. As we go by Rav Sternbuch, even inferior, the one that they have, like they said, the light grape juice with 2/3 lower in sugar, etc. It's still kosher lekiddush. But the suggestion I can advise all of you that when you're buying a grape juice, make sure that on the seals it's written that it's kosher lekiddush. The same as buying wine with a low alcohol, to make sure that, because there are some here and there that they are only shehakol and not bor pregafen.